Greetings, Reelers. My name is Philip, and together with my wife Sherry and two of our friends, Chris and James, we're Fellowship of the Reel. Four people who love talking about movies almost as much as we do watching them. We hope you will join us as we dig deep into cinematic masterpieces and some that are, well, maybe not. You have an opportunity to be the fifth host of our little show. Click the link in the show notes and leave us a voice message telling us what movie you would like us to review. You can also reach out on our Facebook page, Fellowship of the Reel. From all of us at Fellowship of the Reel, thanks for listening. Okay, on with the show.
Are you recording this?
Studying a movie in the mechanical level, I think can really bring some revelation.
I believe that no one sets out to make a bad movie, with the exception of...
On paper, this should work.
Yeah, this should work.
But I just don't like it.
That's your own fault if you haven't seen it.
Way over budget,
chases,
start
yeah,
cutting
right, yeah,
scenes. Even the actors don't know what that movie is about. Shit, I wish I wrote that.
Which I love the title, but that movie's trash.
Well, it's oatmeal, man. It's good for you. This time we are going to be reviewing Aliens with an S, not Alien. We appreciate the title of that sequel, some more than others, maybe.
Well, it's plural, right? There's more than one alien.
Yeah, there is more than one alien, yes.
I mean, they could have called it a shit ton of aliens, but they did not.
Anyway, yeah, so as we were doing this, we had to confirm that we were, in fact, talking about the sequel and not the first one.
It's because I had no clue. I had no clue there was an alien and aliens.
Well, like for Aliens 3, they call it Aliens 3, right?
Yeah, just phoned it in at that point. Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, like even more aliens or something.
It's
Right.
Alien 3.
So it is single with a 3.
Yeah, oh
Really?
yeah, I didn't catch that. Good catch, James. You said Aliens 3. Is that what you said?
I did, yes.
Yeah, no, it's Alien
See,
3.
that-
Alien 3, Alien
Yeah,
Resurrection.
because it's back to just one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for some reason, this has nothing to do with the movies Aliens, but the tagline for this one. Okay, so for the tagline for Alien is, I guess, in space, no one can hear you scream, right? As I was doing the lookup for this, the tagline, I guess, one of the taglines is, this time it's war.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, no one in space, no one can hear your screams. But
Yeah, well, it makes sense too. So this time it's war. And for some reason, that made me think of like Jaws 3D. Or maybe it was Jaws 4. Maybe it might have been Jaws 4. The tagline for Jaws 4, which should not exist. This time it's personal.
right.
So Aliens, better tagline, but for some reason I went right to Jaws. I'm like, they made 4.
On the same level, yeah.
They made 4 of those. This time it's personal.
Jaws 5, this time it's for money.
You're right. And someone had pointed out, okay, because it's Jaws the Revenge, I think, is 4. Okay, Jaws 3D and then Jaws the Revenge, I think, is 4.
That's the one where the shark is
Yeah, he's
tracking them, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
It's personal.
that's-
And then someone had pointed out in discussion, well, that shark died in each of the movies. So which shark is it personal to? Like, is this the great grandson of the first one? Because how can it be personal if the shark has died?
It's the brother that you never noticed.
Yeah,
like
brother
in
shark.
Fast
all
and
in
Furious.
Jaws, all in the family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear
Fast
you.
and the Carnivorous.
And I don't know, maybe I guess we'll find out as we go through this. Maybe I'm looking at aliens with a certain level of blinders because I love this movie.
Oh, yeah.
So I hear what you're saying about the tagline being very similar because this time it's personal Jaws about a shark that didn't experience any of the previous 3 films is ridiculous, but this time it's war. Like I think that speaks to, and we'll get into it, I guess, but the first Alien movie is not an action movie. There's no military, right? They're all on a ship. This has guns and it's the Colonial Marines,
Right.
Space Marines, right? So I think that's what it kind of.
I definitely think this is superior to Jaws 4.
Yeah, but as a tagline,
But I think this table leg is superior to Jaws 4. So, yeah, but Jaws 4...
Table leg takes that personally, man.
Yeah, well, it should be a compliment. Yeah, so this was James' pick, right? Yeah, but I'm going to go ahead and read. As a side note, and we probably need to have someone counting this. We need a fifth person just counting this, because Sherry mentioned to me, like, apparently we say a lot. Okay, we'll get to that later. Like, we'll talk about
Yeah.
a point that we definitely mean to talk about later.
But we don't always get to
Well,
it.
no, I don't. I hope we do. I think we do, because we have, our notes or whatever. But Sherry pointed out to me that we'll stray into an area, and one of us will invariably say, "Well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes or later or whatever." So hopefully we do.
Well, maybe adding a fifth person, we can get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later, right? There you go. Okay, so so this is the synopsis that I got off IMDb, and then there's my note. This time it's War Harkens to Jaws 4: The Revenge. This time it's personal, but by no means do I compare these movies as similar. But we'll get to that later as we get in our notes or whatever. Anyway,
Jot that one down.
They are both Monster in the House, though.
yes, and there's a whole section about that. So this is the synopsis I got off IMDb, and I these things are not typically well written. I read these and then I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's the movie. Anyway, this is Aliens. 57 years after surviving an apocalyptic attack aboard her space vessel by merciless space creatures, Officer Ripley awakens from hypersleep and tries to warn anyone who will listen about the predators. And then the tagline, of course, this time it's war. I mean, that's, I guess, essentially it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. These synopses, on IMDb, there are other synopses that people actually write, like fans and stuff, and sometimes they're better, but I don't know if that's the official one. It's the one that is at the top of IMDb as far as their...
I've got this one if you want me to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got do it. I've got 57 years after Ellen Ripley had a close encounter with a reptilian alien creature from the first movie, she is called back, this time to help a group of highly trained colonial marines fight off against a sinister extraterrestrials. But this time, the aliens have taken over a space colony on the moon, LV-426, when the colonial marines are called upon to search the deserted space colony. They later find out that they are up against more than what they bargained for. Using specially modified machine guns and enough firepower, it's either fight or die as the Space Marines battle against the aliens. As the Marines do their best to defend themselves, Ripley must attempt to protect a young girl who is the sole survivor of the nearly wiped out space colony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
better. It's too
storyline.
long, but that's better.
Well, that's more of a synopsis than a...
I didn't like the apocalyptic.
yeah, I
What? I
yeah,
don't remember any
it's a-
zombies or nuclear stuff going on.
yeah, it's not the
or,
end of the
like-
world, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it could be, but
Not that the alien wasn't, bad news on the ship, but yeah, I guess apocalyptic's not the way.
yeah, I wouldn't find that
Describe it.
word.
They were too busy watching the good movie than watching or writing synopsis.
Sure. Yeah, no, and if you're going to put your effort into something, let it be the movie, right? So,
Right.
all right, so that's the movie we're reviewing, Aliens, and that's the synopsis. Anything else before we move into our next section? No? So, Money Critics fans, this is how the movie was received by critics, how it did at the box office, and how it has been received by the fans. And I was actually kind of amazed by this because this movie is almost universally accepted and loved, and not just by a little bit, right? So, Tomato Meter, using their scale, 97% fresh and 94% on the fans, which means 97% of the critics gave it 3.5 stars or more, and 94% of the fans gave it 3.5 stars or more. So this movie, and apparently that has never gone down, because years people review this, and it is 97 and 94. That is almost the perfect movie as far as critics and fans. Which, I mean, I love this movie, but that's amazing.
When was it released again?
1986.
Yeah. But as we were watching it, like some of the like CGI has come a long ways. There were some spaceship scenes that you could tell were a little dated.
Sure. I thought the spaceships, when they're in space, look still really good, but like when they're entering the atmosphere,
Yeah,
they looked a little rough. But also, I guess I looked up you probably have this, or James may have it. Looked it up after the fact, but the budget was only $18 million, if I remember right.
Yes, yeah.
So that's not a lot.
no. This
So what they accomplished on screen for an $18 million is very, very impressive.
I
Well,
was reading a thing about the budget. Producers took a look at the dailies, I guessed, and were like, well, that's where all our money's going, is special effects. And when they actually went to the set and looked, they were all scale models. They thought they were gigantic sets. The producers did, but they were scale models.
Nice.
So James Cameron was like, yes, it's working. It's looking great.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because I remember when I first saw this, like I said, it scared the crap out of me, and I wasn't thinking about the effects. I was on board, and I was on board this time. But I guess we've gotten used to so much now that
with TVs, you got to remember this was 85, 86.
no Blu-ray, no nothing.
Yeah, no Blu-ray, no 4K,
4K.
Ultra.
Yeah.
Everything of that generation looks a little weird. Like if you watch Independence Day on it looks really, really special effected up.
Well, everything was practical effects, right? Like there was, because I mean that ship was probably a miniature
model.
against a green
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, I mean
Absolutely.
nowadays it'd be
All CGI.
all CGI. Yeah, yeah. So the budget, as James said, was 18.5 million, and this movie killed it, man. I mean, so domestic 85 million, international 45 million, which I guess nowadays that'd probably almost be reversed, but worldwide 131 million dollars off a $18 million investment. Yeah, they no wonder there's 5 of these, right? I mean, I'm blown away on all the aspects of it. I couldn't believe the fans and the critics scores, and then $18 million and you make 131 million.
And that's with 7 years between sequels. The first one was 79.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was wondering. I could remember when I told Sherry it was late 70s, but yeah.
So that's a big gap, especially if you consider like the way they pump out sequels now.
It's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And then I read in the trivia or whatever, Cameron had such a hard time making this movie with the crew because the crew was loyal to Ridley Scott. So it was Ridley Scott, right?
Yep.
For Alien. They didn't want James Cameron messing with the Alien view, the grandiosity of what Alien was. So they gave him the hardest time making
Really?
this movie.
Yeah. Also, they shot overseas, right, in
England.
England or wherever. So they're tea time's a big deal. So they would take breaks for tea time, and James Cameron's like, "What the fuck is this?" And like he would get pissed and
Yeah.
lose his mind. And of course, that builds rapport with the crew.
Yeah, yeah.
After they spent all day
Busting their
setting up
ass.
a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Bill Paxton sitting there, dangling in the air, and they're like, tea time.
Time to go.
What?
Yeah, break? Yeah. And he's like, "What?"
What?
Yeah.
So they they had that.
Customs suck.
Yeah, there's I've read about this some, and then there's on Netflix. I want to say there's the movies that made us as a documentary. It covers a lot of different movies. Aliens is one of the ones that
Yeah.
it covers, or movies that made us, or how did this get made? I
Yeah,
may be
Movies That
mixing
Made
them.
Us.
Movies that made us. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's very much a how did this get made type story on all of these. Like they're trying to, anyhow. So they deep dive into that and explain, how they had to have a come to Jesus meeting and all this stuff.
That's
and
crazy,
Yeah.
Play the crew Terminator. Just so
Yeah.
they could see that he knew what he was
This guy knows what he's doing. Yeah, he's not Ridley Scott, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And only half the crew showed up to see it. But once they did see it, they were like, oh, okay, we see where he's going with it. And they were on board.
Yeah, because Terminator had come out 2 years prior in '84.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
before that, Cameron hadn't. He wasn't a known entity.
Yeah,
He'd
yeah.
done, I think, Piranha 3D or some shit. I don't remember what it was. Like something Piranha 2, maybe. I think it's 2. Piranha 2, the respawning, or I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
Something like that. But anyhow, he hadn't done a lot. But
That's
so I mean, this is Cameron on the rise.
Yeah.
Terminator, then Aliens.
Yeah, he got a heck of a steamroll going with those two movies.
He did, and then years later, he's given us Avatar. So
And
Yeah, there's
another one.
Yeah.
yeah, Avatar.
Second
Yeah,
movement.
shit floats, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we won't be
All right.
reviewing that anytime soon, I guess.
You can review whatever movie you want, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just know it's a pass for me going into it already.
All right. You talking about Avatar?
Yeah. Yeah, I
have
call it
not
Avatar.
seen-
So
oh, I have not seen it.
you're not missing anything.
I prefer not to see.
Well, I mean,
Well, it's sci-fi too.
Just watch Dances with Wolves.
yeah.
Or Pocahontas or Last Samurai. They're
Right,
all
I
the
was
same
about to say
story.
So I like dances.
And those are all superior to Avatar.
There's supposed to be 5 Avatar movies
Is
I
it?
think I've heard something ridiculous like that. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
all the way up in 2028.
Jeez
Good
Louise.
Lord.
I'm
And
very
they look
curious to
beautiful.
see-
They look beautiful.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem too. Like, and we're not reviewing Avatar, we're reviewing Aliens, but Phil and I talked about this when we saw it. Like, I think it's too much. Ooh, hey, look at the shiny, pretty stuff.
Oh, yeah,
and
it's a
then
beautiful movie.
forget about the story. Like
Yeah.
the story's just. Again, we just talked about other movies that have done it better. Like, and Cameron's very much capable. I guess that's probably why I hate on it so much. Cameron's a very gifted storyteller and filmmaker, So it bugs me that this is, what he cranked out. I mean, I like Titanic better than Avatar.
I think I look at people like James Cameron and George Lucas, and even in my kind of background, Metallica. They are the ones that are pushing the technology forward. So, like, they're so far ahead of the game. They're changing the way it's done. So, not everything's going to be great, but the technology that they're using and funding, that's going to be lasting for generations. So George Lucas, when episode 1, 2, and 3 came out, it was, the story's okay, whatever. But he was the first guy to shoot most everything in front of a green screen, all on computers. Yeah. They were putting lots and lots and lots of money. Yeah. And this was kind of being taken it back to Aliens. This was his second step into big directing, and he just crushed it with Terminator, crushed it with this, and he just went on and on and on. So that's how I look at him, is with George Lucas, all those people.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I want my cake and want to eat it too. I want him to push boundaries, and I want a good story because it's been done. Star Wars, Aliens, Terminator, and then later, Star Wars meaning the originals. Sorry.
Yeah, they basically, the other people take the ball and run with it.
Sure.
James Filoni with the Star Wars universe, take it and run, because not everybody can write and direct and do all that.
I just I appreciate all those special effects, but it's almost like, hey, we got all these cool new toys, let's go find a story, rather than, hey, we got this story, and that special effect and that special effect would really help this story. So I think story should be first, and then you find the effects to build it up. Not like, oh, we got this cool new toy, we need something to do with it.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of put them in rarefied air with each other. Is those are the people that kind of bridge that gap. Yeah. There's not too many people that can bridge that gap, but those three guys are at least trying, and their name's still out there.
Sure.
And they're still doing it at a high level.
They'll create the technology to fulfill a need. Like, I can't think of a specific example, but I'm sure like in Avatar, they wanted to film something and the technology to do it wasn't there, or the device to do it wasn't there. And so they invent it, and then it becomes
standard. all the motion capture stuff.
Yeah.
Because those characters are pretty much completely digital, but the actors are there doing the performance.
I mean, like Skywalker sound. Okay, so this is Lucas's. To me, that's the biggest contribution to movies. Star Wars Episode 4, yes. Everything else, he's not a good director. He's not a good writer, but he developed technology. Yes, I said that. He developed.
He's forgetting about Empire Strikes Back, ladies and gentlemen.
But he didn't write that, right? He didn't write that. What's his name? Wrote that?
Kasdan.
Kasdan, yes. Okay, and wanted a different ending, and Lucas was like, "No, we can't sell toys in McDonald's Happy Meals if you kill off, whatever." Which they wanted Luke in this riding off in the. Anyway. But
we'll get to that later in another podcast,
and I'm sure that. When people get to this episode, they'll be like, Star Wars, like, you mother. Anyway.
Bye.
He stands alone on that.
Sure. Opinion. But Lucas developed Skywalker sound and Lucas Arts, the special effects. And, there's always the Star Wars, Star Trek camp, but you'll watch a Star Trek movie and they're using Lucas Skywalker sound.
Everybody's using.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they.
ILM, yep.
Yeah. Industrial Light
He had
Magic.
to create an empire while he was making these Star Wars movies. Yeah. About a rebellion fighting an empire. Yep.
Yes. Anyway.
What are we reviewing again? Oh, Aliens.
I did have a question before we moved on, because both the synopsis that James read and the blurb that I read mentioned this 57 years thing. And obviously there's 3, 4, and 5 coming along, right? So Ripley went on this mission.
What about the first one?
Yeah. Her job is as a miner or harvester, or what they cargo basically, right?
Yeah, but she's a warrant officer or whatever, right?
Yeah, but she works for a company. Like, the mission of the ship is to go to these planets and harvest ore or something. They have cargo, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So did she ever get home?
No.
Right. No. That's what I'm thinking, because she wakes up 57 years. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. And like number 3, because the first, as soon as Michael Biehn came on, Sherry was very concerned. He doesn't die, does he? Michael Biehn doesn't die.
As any viewer should be for the first time. It's fucking Michael Biehn.
But she was only half paying attention, and then she saw Michael Biehn. She was like, she put down her phone. I was like, "Ooh, Michael Biehn!"
Nice, nice.
All of a sudden, she was on board.
I have that under my plus.
Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. I think he's one of my man crushes for sure.
No, I love Michael Biehn.
And I'm sure it's Terminator, I guess, and Aliens, but yeah, I love Michael Biehn as well. Yep.
But
Tombstone?
Tombstone, yes.
yeah.
Yes, Johnny Ringo, yes, of
absolutely.
course.
That goes without saying.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
But I don't want to get into Alien 3.
But yeah, she never gets home.
Yeah, but like, so, yeah, I mean,
That's a bummer, man.
yeah. And I thought of this, and I didn't write it down, and I was hoping I would remember it. Like, okay, so we'll get into this when we get into the story, but she wakes up 57 years later,
Yep.
right? And she has no family or anything, right? Like, the only people she's looking up are the crew.
Well, if you watch we decided beforehand, specifically watch the theatrical version.
Correct.
But if you watch the special edition,
yeah.
it references that, and you find out that her daughter has died. Like, she's lived her
Yeah,
life.
okay.
If I remember correctly, she had a daughter, and then so that's part of the whole heartache of the 57 years is,
Yeah.
I've missed my daughter's entire life now.
Yes.
I never got back home and missed my
Okay.
daughter's entire life.
And that's the emotional thread that goes on to the little girl
Correct,
later
to
in the
Newt.
movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I actually have a note about that, about their opening and closing images, but it doesn't
Right. But I
work
do too.
without the missing information about the daughter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we watched. I was going to watch it on Blu-ray, but it was so easy to just pull it up on streaming that we just did that. And
Well, I don't have Hulu, so I watched my Blu-ray.
yeah, we should have watched the Blu-ray.
I don't think it matters.
Okay, so that's Aliens. It did well. People love it.
It's a classic, man.
It
Well,
is.
not everybody loves it, right, Sherry?
Well, she's part of the 3% then, because
6%.
6% that
It's probably, like you said, you were talking about Jaws. It's probably that whole, there's a monster. I'm ready for it to be over.
well, it's several times during the movie as the aliens are attacking and they're fighting. Sherry was like, "I'm out. I'm out. Is it when is this over?" She was like, "It's too much. It's too much. I'm out."
Okay, the end.
Good.
But Michael Biehn was there to save you and protect you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can remember, talk about fans, I guess we're still in that section, but I can remember, like, there are two movies that like just freaked my shit right out. One was Jaws
Yep.
that I saw when I was like 10 years old, and then this one, okay, which I saw several, obviously I was, 20s maybe or whatever. But I remember watching this and thinking, man, this is some, being like on edge and into it,
Yeah, no, there's for sure I had the same. They don't affect me that way anymore. But yeah,
Yeah.
watching this movie, there were several scenes that had come up that I remember being freaked out about as a child.
Yeah.
When the Newt's in the water, when she's been separated from Ripley and Hicks, and they're looking for her, and the alien rises up out of
Yeah,
the water
yeah,
behind her, that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yep.
And then Bishop getting impaled by the
Yeah, sure.
by the queen's tail and then ripped in half. That
Yeah.
jacked me
Yeah.
up as a kid.
Oh yeah.
'Cause,
Well,
you know, I
doesn't
mean-
something happen to his prototype? Like in Alien, he get
Well, it's not him. It's
no,
not,
I know, but it's
the android. Yes,
previous version of him or whatever. He gets also torn apart. Yeah.
I don't think it's torn. He gets destroyed and beat up, but it's because he goes berserk and tries to kill them, and
Oh,
they
okay,
like
alright.
bash his head off or something with something.
Oh yeah.
But just I think what makes it extra creepy to me is the white blood
Yeah.
that squirts out. It just makes it even adds this whole other, like, if it was regular normal colored blood, it
I'd
would.
be all about it. If it
Yeah,
was
I don't think it would bother me
visceral.
as much. It's the
Really?
fact that it's the white. It's like milk stuff coming out. It's
so,
weird.
Yeah, so otherworldly.
That's a little twisted, Chris.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's better than the acid that comes out of the.
Yeah, the acid
Yeah,
blood. That's
acid
great.
blood, right.
Like, whoever came
That's
up with that,
when-
that's brilliant.
I know we haven't gotten to the story part of it, but when Ripley at the beginning is explaining what's going on, they don't believe her. And he's like, "Wait a minute."
Talking about the corporate execs.
Yeah, the corporate execs are like, "You think this thing has acid for blood? We don't believe you."
Right.
Yeah.
no. So this is story mechanics, the breakdown of basically the whole movie, starting out with the type of genre. And again, we sort of follow, just as a simple way to get into a story, Chris and I especially, appreciate Blake Snyder's Save the Cat series, which is a very fast way to get into a story, to break it down, sort of crack a story if you're trying to analyze one, and especially if you're trying to write one. And he has come up with several genres. We're not going to get into what all those genres are. Now you can learn them as you go, as we review different movies. But I think, without disagreement, I think Chris would agree this is certainly a monster in the house. Snyder uses Alien, the first one, as a prime example of the monster in the house genre, which requires, all these genres require three basic elements. Obviously, a monster in the house requires a monster. In this case, it's the alien. A house, which is any arena or area that they're fighting the monster. Here it is primarily planet LV-426.
Correct.
And then a sin. So a monster, a house, and a sin typically are involved in Monster in the House movies, monster movies. I think, and typically, well, there's at least one other movie that uses this, but a sin, I think, and Chris can speak to this, I'm picking greed greed, basically. The love of money, the opportunity that maybe these aliens present for some financial gain, especially on the part of Burke.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say, he's the embodiment of what the overall company wants, the Weyland-Yutani. Yeah, they want, it's all about greed and money. How can they financially gain from these creatures?
Yeah.
I think that's a theme. Greed is a theme throughout the Alien franchise.
Sure.
Is it? Yeah,
sure.
okay.
Yep. No running. Yeah, for sure.
I had forgotten. Ripley mentions when she's explaining in the boardroom that they set down on, because when the planet they set down on the first one is LV-426.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the company ordered them to go down there and retrieve these things in the first one?
No, there was a beacon that distress beacon that they were responding to, I thought, in the first one.
Yeah, that seems familiar, but I thought
It may have ordered them to go check it out, I guess, but it was...
Yeah, because I thought she had some line, and I didn't write it down, but I thought she had some line where the company ordered... I don't know if...
The company was definitely behind it in the first one because Ash, the original android, was programmed to keep it and bring it back, right? I mean, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right? Remember, James? Don't remember?
know.
Okay.
We'll have to do a check. I'll put it in the show notes.
Because I want to say that's why he starts going berserk and stuff, and why they're so much at odds. Because she is, as the warrant officer, won't let Kane back on the ship with the parasite on his face because that's against protocol.
Yeah.
And Ash overrides her and opens it up. And the whole reason he does that is because he needs the embryo. He knows what's going on. He needs what's inside of him.
And I'll put it in the show notes after we record to be sure. But I think she says something like, the company ordered us to go down and get these things or whatever, which in retrospect she'd learned. I guess maybe she didn't know it before. I don't know, because even in the first one, she seems to be referencing this idea that the company, which means they knew about them.
Yeah, but it's 57 years later. These are different corporate execs, and they're like, yeah, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We don't believe you. Acid blood, like James said a second ago, this lady's nuts. You've been in hypersleep way too long, lady.
So in between the first movie and the second movie, there's a 57-year difference. So she leaves, obviously. She's on her escape pod. Does the company send a community, what are they called?
Colonists, whatever.
Colonist to the same place?
Yes.
And now she gets back, she's sitting in front of him. They're like, hey, we sent colonists to this place.
Hey, but they're 60 families, been there 20 years, never had a problem. You're full of shit. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what they tell her.
Okay. So they want her to go back.
And we learn later that Burke, I guess they knew about the aliens because Burke sent them down there and didn't tell them. And that's one of her beefs with Burke.
Yep.
Blood on your hands kind of thing. And again,
made a bad call, Ripley.
Yeah.
Bad call. People died. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, anyway. All right. So we're moving into mechanics. And so one of the first beats, obviously, is the setup, is the opening image. I tend to look at the opening image as a sequence, but Chris, in previous episodes, does make a good point. The opening image is a single image. I think clearly that is...
Yeah, it's singular. It's not images.
Yeah. Images...
difference between alien and aliens.
Right.
All right, sorry.
No. So I this time I didn't look at the sequence or all this.
What?
Because that's set up or whatever. But so obviously the opening image, she is asleep in cryo, right? She's,
Yeah, it's funny. So I think it's actually hypersleep. In my notes, I wrote cryo too, but cryo's like freezing. It's not cryo. It's hypersleep.
Yeah, no,
right?
I think it's a default.
I said the same thing, and then I wanted to correct myself.
Right,
so.
yeah, they deep sleep or whatever.
Yes, deep sleep.
Now, we talk about Blake Snyder, and his books are called Save the Cat, and here she has literally saved the cat, yes?
Yep. Yeah.
Typically, a save the cat is something a bad guy will do. Like if you want Snyder will say, if you want your bad guy to have sympathy with the audience, have him do something like save the cat. And I think he actually references Al Pacino in some movie being a bad guy, but coming out and seeing a cat stuck in a tree and actually helping it down. Well, all of a sudden, this guy's a bad guy, but hey, he helps cats. He can't be all bad. So now the audience is on board.
Yeah, it helps with your character as an anti-hero as well. Like if he's a little rough on the edges, and it's particularly if he's not if it's say it's your protagonist, but he's not likable, have him save a cat.
Yeah, have him save a cat, or
okay,
or
this
whatever.
not so bad.
Yeah. So here she is, literally I don't think that because Ripley certainly maybe would fit into that category of anti-hero. Yeah, I mean she's certainly not somebody you bring home to mama. Not that she's a loose woman, but she's a tough and foul-mouthed and
She's a tough space person.
Yeah, but she gets tougher in this one.
You know what I'm saying, but so I don't know if they had her. Well, whether they wanted her to save the cat or not, nobody wants to see because they brought that cat into the movie, and once you do that, the audience in the back of their mind is going to be like, "Okay, what's going to happen to the cat?"
Sure.
And if you show Ripley leaving without the cat, people will be like, "You left the cat?" Right?
They wouldn't have 4 more sequels.
Right. So I mean, and I don't know so much anymore, but there used to be rules where you don't kill kids, you don't kill animals, right? You know, you instantly want to have, and that works for me. It pulls me right out. AKA John Wick #1. You know, I love John Wick, but when I first saw that, I'm like, okay, well, I can't watch this again. You know, almost.
I hear you. Yeah, and
No,
that,
he does-
and that scene's terrible. And I've had 2 beagles in my life, and so that dog being a beagle, I think, makes it even worse. You know, you see the blood trail and stuff, but I guess I have a very different reaction. It makes me mad. It makes me so like I'm
makes
on
him
board. That's my point. I guess I'm 100% on board with him. All million bullets he fires into all those sons of bitches, I'm right there with
Oh
him.
yeah, absolutely. No,
Actually, hit him again, John.
yeah.
You know,
Well, even in the sequel, or whatever, you had to kill his dog. You know, whatever.
yeah, they make it a running
Yeah,
gag, which is good. Like I'm up for John Wick 4, 5, 6, as many of those as they want to make. I'm on board, man.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
This time
Quit killing his dog.
yeah. This time it's.
Yeah, I don't think they're going
personal.
to kill this dog. This dog is muscles with a collar, right?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, he does get a new one. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think it is intentional because once you bring that cat in, that cat has to live, and so she's got the cat, which I think
It's funny. They even sorry I interrupted you, but she even has a line later on when we're jumping ahead, but once she commits to her breaking it into 2 and commits to going on this mission, she tells her the cat, and you little shithead, you're staying here.
Yeah, right.
Telling the audience, don't worry, cat's gonna be fine.
right. Which I mean, yeah, absolutely,
We got away with it once, him running around and being in jeopardy. He's
They,
not gonna happen this time.
right. Okay.
Opening image and then
Yes, that was. I mean, that's what that image carried. And they should that image carries a lot of baggage, but I mean it's not just her waking up, which could have been a boring scene or whatever. Yeah, so I think we all agree on the opening image, the setup, and we could get into this, but I thought I don't want to say some of these beats were blurry, but some were, and I don't know what the director's cut looked like or whatever, because you already mentioned earlier that there was this whole backstory with her family, because that was one of my first questions, but. We're given the setup. Ripley has been adrift for 57 years. Now, she is Burke, Paul Reiser will say this, that she was rescued almost by chance, a million shot to one.
yeah, like a salvage crew found her. Yeah.
Yeah, which is basically like, finding a needle in a haystack in open space, right?
Right.
I didn't balk at it. I didn't think it was a problem, but anytime you interject absolute coincidence into a movie, I think is dangerous, right? So we needed her to be found, and so they found her. I don't have a big problem with it.
Yeah, I think the 57 years helps knock out
mitigate
any concerns or problems with it. Wait a minute, they just found her. Wait, I found her after 57 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it could have been 157 years.
Right,
You
yeah.
know,
Okay, so what was the deal? Could she not set a course for her?
Well, she had proximity alert on.
Oh,
yeah, it was an escape pod too. I don't know how much control she had in that bad boy.
But
she
that's
blew
what wakes
everything
her
up.
up.
so it's either
It's like jumping off a ship in a life raft.
either killed by the alien or just
Yeah,
shoot
yeah,
out in
just-
space.
Well, even the proximity alert didn't wake her up. The crew comes in and finds her. They cut open the door and they come in the room and
yeah.
she's alive or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, the proximity alert didn't wake her up. They came in and found her, yeah.
The controls on the autopilot on the ship, allowed, her to, I guess, not be crash into this other salvage ship. or whatever.
Yeah.
She
okay.
was just adrift floating in
Correct.
space.
Yep.
God
Yeah.
But that's still better than being eaten by the.
Oh yeah,
Oh, for
yeah. She
sure.
blew up the ship to get rid of the alien, right? I mean, or the ship.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes.
I saw it years ago. I don't remember it. So she blew up the ship and everything.
I think she sets to blow the ship up, sets it on like self-destruct.
Yeah.
And then
Well, they mentioned that, right?
Yeah, $42 million ship or whatever it costs. Yeah,
Oh,
she sets to blow it up to kill the ship and the alien because all the crew's dead at that point.
Yeah.
And then her plan was to escape in the escape pod, but the alien got on board the escape pod with her.
Yeah.
So I think she
blasted
yeah
out.
she ends up putting the spacesuit on, blasted out of the airlock.
Yeah.
Seals the pod back up, and so now alien's dead and the ship's gone, and
Okay.
so she blew the ship up and didn't have to.
All right. Yeah, I didn't watch the first one.
Been a while since I've seen it. I may have missed some of that, or messed some of that up. But
No, that sounds right. So she is not held as credible as to her account of events. Like they say, they believe some of the things she said. Some of the things you say are corroborated by the ship's log. Others,
Right.
LV 426, the alien planet or the planet that the aliens have landed on, has been colonized, but contact has been lost. So this is what I have for the setup. This sort of sets up what's going on.
losing contact is part of your setup as well.
Being told, yeah, I guess so, because for the catalyst, so if that's the situation that we're presented, Burke, I have as the catalyst, Burke, a company man, makes promises as to motive for needing her and the nature of the mission. Need her to advise a special Marine task force, and she refuses. And so the call comes to her. We need you to go with these Marines to the alien moon planet as an advisor because you're the only one that knows how to do this. And she's like not having any of it.
Yeah. So I have them losing contact as part of the catalyst. Because like the whole reason they go to her and say, hey, we need you. Because they weren't sending Marines and doing anything before. Like literally like the scene before, the corporate execs like, we got 60 families of colonists on there. No problems for 20 years. And then they lose contact. Now, well, wait a minute. Maybe there's something to this crazy woman's story.
Yeah, I might have.
That's what they present to her, right?
Yeah, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't tracking as far as, they've been there 20 years. I guess I wasn't tracking as to when they lost contact. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. If they just lost contact and are now.
Yeah, because they don't show it, but Burke also has a line in the scene where he's trying to convince her. He has a line about, I hear you're working on the dock.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's the only thing you could get, but I could give you your old job back. So like she's moved on as well and just trying to
she
move on with her life, and she's got some menial job, it sounds like. And then you know what I mean? So I guess some time, it's unclear, but some time has passed between her meetings with the
she did get
execs.
a job and is working. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Now, she refuses, and so I guess there's a double bump here.
Well, there's a part of setup I feel like we missed, too.
Okay.
Her reoccurring nightmares is part of her ordinary world now, too. Right?
Yeah, she has a nightmare.
Has a very visual, very cool nightmare with it where, it comes out of her stomach or whatever right at the beginning in the cat. Because as the audience, you're like, oh shit, she was impregnated from the first one. How did that happen? It's really cool still.
I think Sherry wasn't aware that
It was fake, yeah.
that she was dreaming, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
Cool.
Yeah. Now she has that dream before Burke comes to her with the proposal. The first dream, yeah.
Yeah, because when we first see her wake up, we're actually in her dream, not realizing it. I think the way they present it is like you were just saying with Sherry, the way they present it, the camera presented it is, this is really happening. And you see it, the head starts to poke up out of her stomach, and then she wakes up and you're like, oh shit, it was a dream.
Yeah, I do have, she is plagued by memories and nightmares of experiences under setup. So yes.
Yeah. And they show her waking up in tears right before, sorry, we're getting to it. But yeah, she's having those dreams. Burke,
as part of her setup.
No.
As part of her ordinary world or whatever, this is her life now.
Yeah.
Then Burke comes to her, and so she refuses, but then has another nightmare.
Correct. This brings her to tears. Yep.
Yes. So she refuses, so she needs something else to set her.
Yeah.
Her concern, the colonists are not enough to get her to accept the mission. So she needs another kick in the ass, which is a double bump. Has another, which I thought maybe a little weak. She wakes up from the nightmare and says, okay. I would have liked to have, and this is a danger. We start rewriting the movie, but I would have liked to have seen some kind of more thoughtful urging of her somehow that this was what she needs to do rather than, obviously she's trying to, I felt like she needed to go kill these aliens to put to rest her own demons, right? She's going to continue having these nightmares until she faces her fears and goes and does the thing. But
that's what the movie's about, Phil.
Yeah, but that's never, like, she wakes up, has a nightmare, okay, I'll do it.
I disagree. And I think the way they did it was, so she wakes up, has a nightmare, right? And that's part of her ordinary world. And yeah, he's already come to her. And I don't think it's double bump. I just think, because part of the it's not necessarily Blake Snyder's, but there's Hero's Journey talks about refusal of the call.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's all. Blake Snyder has what's called a debate scene, and it's 12. He has it as 12 pages, from page 12 to 24,
Sure.
or minute 12 to 24 minutes into your movie. So that's, to me, plenty of room for a back and forth. Should I do this? Should I not do this?
Yes.
Fuck no, I'm not going to do this. All right, now I'm going to do it. So I don't think it's necessarily a double bump.
You think it's a debate?
I think it's the debate, and then she has the nightmares, and then everything you just said, she calls Burke and says, hey, you're going out there to destroy them, right?
Yeah.
Not to study, not to bring back.
Right.
So to slay her demons or whatever encounter, they're like, she's not interested in helping the company do any
No.
nefarious stuff or study. But if we're going out there to kill them, I'm literally going out there to slay my demons, and now I've got some Marines in my back corner. Yeah, I guess I'm down.
Okay, yes. And I guess I would have... I think they lost some real estate there. I think it would have been a good character development to see her. Okay, so if you're having these troubles,
Yeah.
have a sequence where she's talking to a company counselor or something, and they're talking about these things, and then so that because the outward call of killing the aliens will calm the inner call of her turmoil, right? You want to link those two things, her inner struggle versus the outward call, right? The outward call is going to help her calm her inner struggles. John McClane kills the terrorist, but he gets back with his wife, which is the real story, right? So
Yeah, but there's no scene in Die Hard where he's like, hey, man, if someone tells him, like Power or something, tells him, John, if you kill these terrorists, that'll help you get back with your wife.
no, but he comes to that conclusion in the bathroom, especially.
she.
The best thing that ever happened to a bum like me, right?
Right. No, and I think she comes to that conclusion too, that, hey, by getting back on this horse and going to this planet,
right.
helps her.
I
'Cause she
think
doesn't
that's-
set out to, I've got Marines that are going to go help me wipe all these
Yeah.
aliens. I don't think she
That's
plans on picking
all-
up a gun.
And you are absolutely correct. But that's never really stated.
I don't know. It works for me.
Because yes,
And again,
because
maybe
you're
I got my blinders
You're
on,
filling
but-
in the blanks out of the love of this movie, and I love this movie, but we're filling in blanks at that point.
Sherry, James, or who's filling in blanks?
I didn't realize there was a gaping hole until you said that.
Yeah.
What is her motivation exactly?
We're no longer friends.
But when you expressed your opinion on it, I totally agree. So
Oh, I take it back.
Well,
I
my
love you.
opinion
I
is
love
his
you, James.
opinion, but I don't think it's there.
I don't think it's expressly.
I think he's 100% right.
Yeah, it's not blatantly said in the script, and I kind of like that. I don't like them feeding you. I don't like writers feeding you all the little bits of.
Motivation. Shut the hell up.
That's just me.
You should have seen the look I just got. Eat shit, mother. Okay. But even in Die Hard, you have this tension with McClane and his wife, right? I mean, and then
sure.
in the limo, you thought she would come crawling back, so why bother to pack, right? I mean, anyway, all Pope in the Pool worked in. Not faulting the movie. I just think
It should have been.
She had a nightmare
It's
off-
weak to you.
it was weak. It was.
Yeah.
It could have been stronger, but again, like
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it didn't. Yeah, it didn't.
No,
Didn't have a problem with it.
All right.
I'm saying this movie's perfect by any means. I'm just that
well,
one
90,
that didn't bother me.
4% of the people do, right? So
I guess I liked it. I thought that nightmare was, and we don't want to harp on this all day, but showing the nightmare and like even so, like everyone like Sherry for the first time you've seen it,
yeah,
especially if you've seen the first one, like you believe that you're like, oh, like you're terrified. Oh
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
like
yeah.
this is I mean having the alien bust out of your
sure.
like that's still a scene that from the original that
Oh, yeah.
tears people up.
That
you
is-
know, and
That is one of the
So-
scariest things in cinema.
like those are like I feel like that does it, showing the nightmare and revealing it in a way that where we didn't know it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then, you don't need to show that over and over, right? So just having her wake up and I think Sigourney Weaver sells it, brought to tears, right?
Sure,
over
yeah.
this, even though you're safe now, your cat's safe. Like,
Well,
if
Ripley.
she doesn't do something, this is going to be her life.
yes.
Being a damn dock worker is not going to
Right.
solve that problem.
Yeah, right. And
You're right. It's never stated.
no, I know, but
But
to your point, Ripley won't take any shit,
right.
and these aliens are giving her shit.
Right.
In her nightmares, and she's like, because it harkens further on in the movie in the lifter suit. One of the, and this line is like one of the most famous lines from the movie. Get away from her, you bitch! Right?
Yeah.
That's Ripley. So to your point, and I'm willing to concede that when she wakes up from that nightmare, she's saying, "Get away from me, you out of my life." And the only way to do that I'm going to go and we're going to wipe these things out. Yes, right? Yeah, okay.
Man, you suck. Now I'm conceding because what just ran through my head was it'd be cool to have a scene of her doing in the loader doing their dock work thing.
Yeah.
And somehow something happens at work that causes her to have a panic attack, right? And recall the memories. So now she can't even work. Like that would help for your point.
Sure.
Nothing's working, but now we're rewriting the movie. But anyhow.
Okay, anyway.
All right, break into 2. She calls Burke and
Burke assures her.
Yeah, that's the plan, kiddo, or whatever he says.
Yes, and he is lying.
Lying his ass off.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Right. Well, 94% of the people who've seen this love it, so there can't be many who haven't seen this already, right? So,
yeah, it was just...
again, I call it cryo, but crossing the first threshold or break into 2, right? I keep calling it cryo. They go into cryo or they go into deep sleep for the journey and they wake up in the second act, right? Do you see the second act?
Yeah, no, that's cool. I didn't even... you had brought that up on all the doorways and stuff when we were talking about 16 blocks before. Again, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, no, 100%, the doors are opening to get out and step into the second act for sure. Very cool.
I like, because it's not something you consciously think about, but if you are thinking about the breaks, I like because it's a new world, right? They're waking up and they're in the crazy upside down world now of
for sure. Well, she was alone in hypersleep. Now she's waking up next to all these Marines.
Are not. And they're in an upside. They have no clue as to the extent of what they're getting into.
This is their ordinary world at this point, because they don't know what's going on. Yeah, they have a note about how they downplay the threat for sure. You know, is this another bug hunt? Like they don't not worried about what they're getting into.
Private Hudson, Bill Paxton. I wrote this down. Have y'all seen? Y'all have all seen Weird Science, right? Bill Paxton here is Chet from Weird Science.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't. I've seen the movie, but I didn't remember a whole lot. But so I read that I guess Paxton ran into Cameron in the airport when he was working on Aliens and writing it, and said, "Hey man, I'd love a part in the movie." So Cameron rewrote Hudson for him.
Yeah,
and then so I guess like 100% probably based it off of Chet or whatever how he was.
You just had the TV on in the background, voice in mind.
Right. Yeah.
Got a nice greasy pork sandwich served up in a dirty ashtray. Yeah,
But the little beat when he. Like everyone else gets up and stumbles off. All the Marines as they wake up, they gets up and they stumble off. And Hudson's the only one's like, man, this floor is freezing.
Yeah, he's
just this. You know, like was that written in there? Was that an ad lib? Just like no one else gives a shit about this cold floor. But like I don't know. To me, you automatically identify with him.
Yeah, he's a complainer.
Everyone knows what it's like to step on some cold floor with your bare feet. And it's like if you're not ready for that kind of sucks.
Yeah, he. Everybody else is gung ho. He thinks everything is bullshit.
Right.
Everything is bullshit, man. Yeah, so that puts us in the fun and games. And I didn't get deep into listing all the fun and games, but meet the team, learn the mission, intro the mover suit. I'll go through them real quick, and we can talk about anything you want. But landing and gearing up on LV, investigating signs of a fire site, acid damage, a last stand by the colonists, discovery of a live parasite in the lab, and sole survivor from the colony, Newt. Colony's beacon is located in a nest. So these are the fun and games I have listed that lead us up to the midpoint, but I don't want to rush through those because there's a lot.
Yeah, no, I just had a couple more that you I guess hadn't mentioned yet. So you have Bishop, who's the android, and he has the cool knife moment with Hudson.
Yes.
Yeah, hey Bishop, do the knife thing. So I thought that was cool, and the reveal of I guess Cameron's writing. They do the knife trick, so they set up the relationship of how Bishop is with the crew and how Hudson is, and then he nicks himself, and so you learn by the fact that he nicked himself that he's in fact an android.
Yeah,
and of course he's sitting next to Ripley, and she learns that.
She
she loses her shit because in the previous film the android went nuts.
Yeah,
so yeah, she's not.
No, she
went nuts and was also part of the whole company scheme of the alien over the crew is more valuable than the crew.
Well, so she went from dealing with these aliens to dealing with these aliens. Like there was never a decompression time for Ripley. Like
sure. She had a couple scenes where she sat around and smoked a cigarette.
Sure.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah, no decompression and
yeah, it's the next day for her. I mean,
right.
Yeah, and then you kind of notice when they're doing the intro to the crew and they're kind of telling what their mission is.
Yeah.
You can see that nobody still really believes her about how the threat. Really
she's some sort of advisor or some shit.
Yeah,
they just completely dismiss her.
Know?
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. So this is, and I maybe forgot to mention this. Typical. Well, no, I wrote it right here, so we're actually right on time. A common element, I thought, a common element to Monster in the House movies is ignoring the herald or the call of warning. Okay? From those with experience or intelligence. Because, did the IQ in this room suddenly drop? And the same thing happened in Jaws, right? Like Brody, he doesn't have a lot of experience with sharks, but he's intelligent enough to know that in the face of this kind of threat, this is what you do, right? So, and I think that's a common theme. Somebody gives a warning, and it's unheeded, which essentially becomes the sin. It's unheeded because they're committing the sin of whatever it is that they find more advantageous than the monster.
Correct. Than heeding the warning, right?
Yeah.
And for, I guess, horror lingo, like a lot of times it's a female that survives. They call it a final girl. In this case, Ripley is the final girl from the first one.
Yeah.
So she's come back with all the knowledge.
Yeah.
To how to, what this alien, the threat that it poses. And again, nobody wants to listen.
Now, that got me thinking, and Chris, you'll know what this means, and we can define it if we have to for anybody else. In Jaws, you got Quint, who is the half-man, right? The half-man is the survivor of a previous encounter with the monster who then advises those who are now encountering it. Ripley, I think, is that.
For sure.
But then so is Newt.
So is Newt, yep.
Yeah, so all of a sudden I'm saying, I wrote down the question, is Newt the half-man? Do we have two half-men here? And I think we probably do, right?
Yeah, so Ripley's the half-man, I would say, if you're going to analyze it that deep. So Ripley's the half-man of dealing with a single alien and kind of what she's encountered. Yeah. Newt's the half-man specifically to multiple aliens on this planet.
That makes sense, yeah.
Right, because she survived on this planet.
Yes, yes. Which I think
she has a warning too later on. Like I made a note in there. I think it's at the midpoint. They mostly come at night. Mostly. Like it'll be dark soon.
Like,
again.
And Bill Paxton, she's he's bitching and moaning, which is awesome. And then obviously Ripley says, well, Newt here without weapons or training survived a lot longer than 17 days. Well, why don't you put her in charge, man?
Right.
I love that. You can't shame him. Okay, we're not going to count you into anything. Damn right.
Right. I guess we'll just count you out everything.
Later on, when he's like, "Yeah, man, you go."
Yeah, Bishop should go. Yeah,
not ashamed.
Even at the beginning, before they even get into all the trouble and the people dying, he's messing with Vasquez because her first thing, part of her, I guess, morning routine is doing pull-ups. Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, Vasquez, you ever been mistaken for a man?" And she coolly goes, "No, have you?"
Yeah, yeah. There's some good exchanges in this. Yeah, so colonists locate a nest. Now, Sherry mentioned this, and I was thinking it almost the exact same moment, like 30 seconds before it exploded. So up to this point, all the fun and games and everything so far, there hasn't been a lot of action. One of the fun and games is meeting the team. So you get all these Marines of different personalities, obviously. Anytime you intro a team like that, there's always strong personalities, right? So one's a complainer, one's the macho, whatever. There hasn't been a lot of exciting parts. I mean, it's very interesting, but there wasn't no action scenes, right?
I felt like they were all filled with tension. Like there's a tremendous amount of tension and build up.
So she mentioned it
back to this planet
about the same time I was thinking it, and then like 4 seconds later,
all hell breaks loose.
All hell breaks loose. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So I wrote, starts off with a lot of tension, build up before the explosion of action with the flaming of the baby alien. So they killed the alien, the baby, they burst out of the chest of the poor survivor, and then the mama or the one of the guardian aliens decides, well, you killed a baby doll, I'm coming for you,
Right. Well, even back to kind of what we were talking about earlier about Ripley's motivation and just how hard it is for her to go back to this, right? She's having the nightmares and everything she experienced from the first one. When they encounter the one survivor who's still alive, and that lady's first words are, "Please kill me."
Kill me, yeah.
And then when it pops out of her stomach, right? They have cuts of Ripley and just like her hands on her own chest, like this is horrible stuff.
Yeah, no.
And also I think it's a big moment. She's safe. She's not out there with the Marines. She's safe in the car thing, whatever you want to call it, right? Watching everything on monitors. Like she doesn't take it really. She's along for the ride as truly an advisor. She doesn't take an active role until after all hell breaks loose and realizes somebody has to do something.
Yeah, this lieutenant, I have chaos, fog of war. Shitless lieutenant loses it.
Yeah. No, and I thought interesting because I don't know who you have as the B story, but I have it as Hicks. So they show difference between Hicks and Gorman. Gorman's like nervous and he's all sweaty.
Yep.
On the drop down, Hicks passes out and sleeping like a baby. Like this is run of the mill.
You see his heartbeat, right? Yeah. Everybody else is and Hicks is doop doop doop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's complete calm and control, and I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Okay. So Ripley to the rescue is what I have, and then so most of them get back. I think there is a couple of deaths here. Did they lose a couple of Marines? I can't remember.
Yeah, only Hicks, Hudson, Vasquez, Birkin, Newt, and Gorman are the only ones that survive.
Okay.
All their other Marines die.
Right. So I just have they get back to lick their wounds. Now I have this as coming up on the midpoint. Are you
As a false defeat?
well? And again, I'm always sort of because once I peg that, I'm looking to see what's going to be the all is lost, whether it's the opposite. And this is where I always get mixed up because all of a sudden, well, that's bad too. So now I'm trying to figure out if they've done it that way, which one is which. I went with a false defeat, but I wrote a false defeat, but it may be a false victory because I think there is a clear false defeat at the all is lost.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what you.
I originally had this as a false defeat because obviously it's an ass kicking. Only a couple of them survived.
I don't think
I wrote it down initially, but I ended up after continuing to watch the movie. I advised my notes and I have it a little bit later.
Paxton has another
brilliant line. Brilliant line.
I don't know if you're caught up on current events. We just got our asses kicked, pal.
Yeah. I love that line.
All right, so you're calling it a false victory?
But it's not at that point. It's a false victory because right after they get their asses kicked, they decide to, as a group, other than Burke, to take off
and nuke the planet
it from orbit. So it's easy solution. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
blow
done.
the shit up. We're done.
Yeah.
And they have a plan. They call the ship.
Yep.
Have the lady come fly down. So it's a false victory because the ship quickly crashes because an alien got on board. And now they're stranded on this planet.
As soon as,
That was my false victory. Let's get the hell out of here and nuke it from orbit.
Yes. So I have both down, but as I watch it, I think you're right. I think it's a false victory here.
Because we're probably right on agree that it's a false defeat later on.
Yeah. All right. Bad guys close in again. I sort of wrote
That's the ship, the alien taking out the pilot.
Yeah, and this was there's a lot to the bad guys close in because
I've got a lot.
Because I have all his losses as a false defeat. Okay, so bad guys close in. You get this shot of Burke watching, So if you didn't think Burke was up to something before, you could tell by how he's listening to the discussion about nuking the planet that he doesn't like that, and he sort of wanders off. So you almost know he's going to do something if you haven't been aware of it before. It is no longer a seek and destroy. The question is raised, who is laying all these eggs? And then Burke actually admits that they want to harvest these for weapons research, for bioweapons or whatever.
Well, but I had another note on the who's laying the eggs. Ripley asked it when they're in the lab discussing it.
Yeah.
And Bishop says, I don't know, something we haven't seen yet. I thought that was great.
This is
like, talking to the audience,
Yeah, talking about building the world, right? So now
you think this is bad. Yeah, I got something for you.
Yeah, you're introducing a whole new, because we've seen the alien in the first one, but that's one, species of.
Yeah, I guess Cameron had to come up with all this because, was it the alien in the original that was laying the eggs? Like, that's never discussed and we never learned. So, Cameron had to come up with all this. We did skip over Hudson had another good line, great line with the after the ship crashes. Then I feel like this one is the most famous ones. After it crashes, he's like, "That's just great, just game over, man." I mean,
game over.
Now they're stranded on this fucking planet, with deadly aliens, and nothing kicks. Even ask him, "Are you finished?"
So Burke is starting to posture here. Talks of money, exclusive rights to the find. We could both make out pretty good here. Right. So here's the sin, right? The away ship is destroyed by an alien on board. They fortify against the aliens, which move at night mostly. There's that line.
Yeah, it's gonna be dark soon. They mostly come at night.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay, I said this when we were watching the movie. I thought it was night already.
Right. No, it's a super dark planet. Where's the hell's the sun? Right.
Yeah,
That thanks for mentioning that because I had a note here. There are two kinds of space. Okay, there is shiny Star Trek space. Okay, where everything glistens, and then there is dirty alien space. Okay, where everything is greasy and dirty and dark. Blade Runner is this way. We talked about Judge Dredd, but
so which one is Star Wars? I think it shows both.
Yeah, I think
if you're going to define it that way.
Yeah, I think Star Wars leans more toward realistic dirty space, but like no NASA mission that I've ever seen on TV ever looked as dark and dirty. Like if NASA went up into space with all that.
Well, that's because they're all filmed in the same place, man.
And can I add, they always have gravity.
Yeah, she mentioned about gravity.
It's true. I mean, it would wreak havoc on your budget, but that's true. Somebody should do, other than, I guess there's been a few movies, do a movie like Aliens or any of these
space movies, boots or whatever,
Yeah, but still, and then have fun with that,
Sure.
Shit, my boots aren't working, and the guy starts floating off. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant idea, Sherry.
well, that was
You're right.
my-
All
Yeah,
yeah,
but-
but planets
okay,
always
but
have
you're
gravity.
drawn
Yeah,
in, and
gravity.
I like Harrison Ford said to what's his name. It ain't that kind of movie, kid. Like if
Sure.
you're sitting there thinking about,
Yeah.
because she, not that she was pulled out, but she did not love this movie.
Well, I'm used to that in all these space movies they have, and I understand that you can't shoot a movie there. How do you do that unless you?
Yeah,
It'd be a pain in the ass, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, but I think that happens to me too. Like and for me, it's once I get pulled out of a movie. If I'm pulled out of a movie, I start analyzing this shit out of it. And of course, you analyze. I think any movie that deep, you're going to find a bunch of stuff.
sure. Anyway, so the sin is revealed here of that that many will pay for. The away ship is destroyed. They fortify, which I thought this was it still worked for me when they are tracking the aliens. That's in the room, man. You're reading it wrong, and
You mean when they attack?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The away ship, which has crashed, I guess it vented its reactor, and they give about 4 hours before it explodes and has a 30-kilometer blast.
Yeah, I guess I kind of missed that. So is the
Setting up the time
reactor breaking down just because it's so old, or when they
Is it the ship that crashed, or is it the moon?
The ship
crashed into it?
crashed into the cooling system.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, I missed that. Okay,
Power plant cooling system.
because they made a big.
The plant will overheat and explode.
Okay.
I got all that part, but I didn't know. I guess I missed the fact that the ship crashed into. Because earlier in the movie, when he takes away all their guns,
Yeah.
and so because Ripley points it out, hey, they're right over the cooling stuff. We can't fire in there.
yeah.
It'll be so. I didn't know if them firing in there after all caused some sort of issue, or I guess
I'm sure it didn't help.
Yeah, I missed the line about the
Yeah.
ship.
Anyway, it sets up the ticking clock.
Yeah, but even more bad guys close in. Not only are you trapped
Yes.
on a planet with deadly aliens, now you got to find a way to get off this planet that you're now trapped on
Yeah.
because it's going to blow up.
Ripley and Newt grab some sleep, but Burke has other ideas, locks them in, and releases a parasite intends to smuggle the alien home.
2 parasites, 2 facehuggers.
Yeah. And so he has
One
a plan.
for each of you.
Yeah, to smuggle this thing home in their bodies.
Yep.
Aliens cut the power and drop in from above them, a firefight. Burke betrays them again, but then very quickly, gets his...
His comeuppance, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Almost,
steals himself in the room thinking I'm safe, and
Yeah.
alien right behind him. You get yours, buddy.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, no,
that felt good.
Everybody loves
Yeah,
that.
you're
Yeah.
right.
I
Sleazeball.
thought the scene with the 2 facehuggers attacking two facehuggers attacking Ripley and Newt is like that's still a lot of this movie to me still holds up, but that
yeah.
scene in particular still holds up. It's very tense and
The action sequences I thought were...
and her having to use her wits to because she calls for help, nobody can hear, so she sets off the fire alarm, which then draws
Right.
Hicks and Hudson, and they
Yeah.
come to the rescue.
Which leads us to... I have us getting into the all is lost, a false defeat, which I think we agreed was...
That's what I have. Yeah, where Newt's captured.
Yeah, Newt is lost because they get out, but Newt is lost. The team is decimated, and Hicks is injured. Right.
Correct. Yep.
And I think the automated voice says 26 minutes to explosion or something. So
Yeah.
if you introduce the ticking clock, you have to remind the audience almost constantly that to create that maintain that tension.
Right.
Anyway.
I think it was 16 minutes if I remember correctly.
16. Okay.
And it in real time, the movie it happens in 16 minutes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I like that.
I guess there's another little beat in there that I think I feel like we should mention.
Okay.
Hicks shows Ripley, introduces her to the gun, and shows her what during their downtime shows her how to work it, and then they have a cool exchange that I like where she's learning the different parts, and she's like, "Well, what's that?" And he's like, "Well, that's a grenade launcher. I don't think you want to mess with that." She goes, "Well, you started this."
Yeah.
So I think he's her B story, and if anything, I would say the B story beat is weak. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
as far as
I didn't
what's the
have
theme
one.
of this movie? Does he carry the theme? I don't know, but he serves to me. Seems like the B story, even though it is kind of weak, because he gives her the tools that she needs to break into 3, and then he's not around. She has to break into 3 on her own because he's injured.
Yeah.
Because the beast, all his loss is where the B story character goes to die, right? All mentors. Now he doesn't die, but he gets taken out.
With
of
the whiff of
picture.
death, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I
As far as him carrying the theme, yeah. Don't have it.
I didn't.
Get the hell out. That's the theme.
I never found a moment where a theme was stated,
Agreed.
and I didn't really see a B story because Ripley is fairly a static character in my mind, right? I think she silences her demons, which I guess is a change.
Yeah, I don't think she's much tougher at the end than she was at the beginning, and she couldn't have gone in there and rescued Newt on her own without him showing her the gun and
Sure.
just gradually getting tougher.
Yeah, no. I think if there is one, it's probably because
I mean,
there's that
it's
line where he
weak,
gives her the
but-
tracking.
Yeah,
he
so I
said-
can find you, and then she uses that for Newt. And,
Yeah, but then he says it doesn't mean we're engaged. Like
Yeah,
the
that's a good
typical
line, too.
macho.
Yeah.
And she takes that for what it is, a moment between them, as you see they're kind of interested in each other.
Yeah, no, they totally end up together in a world where Alien 3 doesn't happen.
Yeah, I had to break it to Sherry. She won't watch it anyway. But I don't know if he just couldn't do the picture. Like he doesn't even have a speaking part, right? He just
They
Aliens 3 starts out.
Flash this picture up there, man.
Yeah. I love this movie. I love the series, but it gets a little wackadoo in my opinion with like 4 and 5, right? Or I've
4 is better than 3.
well, it does,
But
at some
but
point.
it's trying to retcon all the crap they screwed up in 3, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but at some point, it's not even Ripley; it's her clone, right? Like,
yeah, well, because they kill her off in the 3rd one, so they come. Well, we got to have her back because everybody loves Ripley, so they clone her.
yeah. Anyway,
Again,
Does
that makes it
James
better
Cameron
than
have any involvement with those others?
no.
No.
yeah,
Okay.
and you can sort of
Yeah, you can tell.
Okay.
now talking. We are going to run over a little bit, so I think maybe the next anyway. Like for instance, in Jaws, Roy Scheider wanted nothing to do with Jaws 2 or 3 or any of them, and but he was under contract with the studio to do some movies, and there was some other movie that he absolutely did not want to do, and he said, "Okay, I'll make Jaws 2 if you let me out of my contract." And they were like, "Okay." So he did Jaws 2 to get out of the contract, but he wanted nothing, and that's what happens typically when you get all these sequels.
Yeah,
This
I'd
time
be-
it's for money, right? So
Sure, I'd be curious if I guess now you say that if Sigourney Weaver was in a similar situation
Yeah.
and trapped and forced to do 3, because I guess I always wonder what she. I'm gonna probably look it up and find her, have a what she says, but I wonder what she feels about what happened to her character in 3.
yeah,
Because there's parts of 3 that I really like, but yeah, overall, like it's too much of a gut punch to.
yeah. I'd have to go back.
All these nightmares of being ingested with an alien and having it burst out like that she conquers goes through all this bullshit in the second one to conquer these fears, and then they turn around and do it to her anyways and
Yeah,
have her like being pregnant with an alien.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
This time it's for money. 1 and 2 I think work. I'd have to go back and look at.
Still kicks ass with an alien in her stomach, by the way. But yeah, it's
Sure.
just too.
So the all's lost. Newt is lost. Team is decimated. Hicks is injured. 16 minutes. Dark Night of the Soul. Newt is actually taken by the alien, which I think ups the stakes, right? I mean, if she's lost in the ship, they can get her back. But I have the Dark Night of the Soul is Newt is taken by the alien. What do you have as your Dark Knight?
I have that. So they meet up with Bishop. So yeah, Newt's taken by the alien. She gets Ripley and Hicks get safely to the platform because Bishop had this whole side mission of triangulating the transmitter or whatever and getting the second ship basically down to him, right?
Yes.
So they meet up with him. They can take off at this point and be done and be out of here.
Yes.
But Ripley won't leave without Newt.
Right.
So I just have that being her dig down deep,
Yeah.
and it's real brief. It's not like a big moment of it, but she, basically just. I'm not leaving, and she goes up there and immediately starts gearing up, and she has a line to Hicks. Don't let him leave.
Right,
Talking about
right.
Bishop.
He ain't going anywhere.
He ain't going anywhere. Yeah.
Because there is this doubt in her mind, and maybe even the audience. Okay, this android. What is his true motivation here?
Yeah, if Ripley doesn't trust him, then the audience doesn't either.
Right.
Because we're all on board with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So then that leads us into the break into 3. Ripley arms up to get Newt. Auto voice sounding the clicking talk. Clicking. I did that again. Ticking clock. I actually wrote it down. Clicking talk.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Professional writer, everybody.
Yeah. Jeez, Louis. I actually wrote it down. Clicking talk. My God. All right. So storming the castle and the high tower surprise. Newt has lost her tracker. I initially had that as because you storm the castle and you hoorah, but then there's this little minor setback. At first, I had it as losing her tracker.
As all is lost.
As the high tower surprise.
Oh, okay.
As she's storming the castle. Stumbles into the nest with all the eggs, and we are introduced to the big mama. We see this new alien. I think we're told 4 minutes on the clock. And then from there on out, it is adrenaline. I have down a series of yes and no sequences. A yes and no sequence is, yes, it's good, no, it's bad. Yes, it's good, no, it's bad. And so very quickly, yes, she gets to the top. No, Bishop is gone. Yes, Bishop comes back. No, the alien is on board the mothership now. Yes, they get away from, the get away from me, get away from her, you bitch line. No, Ripley is pulled down into the airlock. Yes, the thing is pinned. No, Ripley is grabbed. Yes, the alien is blown out into space and Ripley survives. So I thought it still worked. There's this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth
Very much.
for minutes.
And then the loader payoff, because earlier on she's like, "Hey, I feel useless." Before the mission, they're
Yes,
getting ready.
yeah,
She's like, "Hey, I feel kind of useless, like a fifth wheel. Can I do anything?" "Well, what can you do?" And she's like, "Well, I can drive that loader."
yeah,
And so they set up that she can drive it, and then
Yes.
she uses that to fight with the
which I thought
fight with the
because
alien, the queen.
the setup and payoff. I've seen other like lesser movies don't do that. They'll set something up and then forget, and you forget about it.
Right.
I thought
Yeah, the setup and payoff was good.
there was lots of good payoffs, and they didn't forget that they set something up. Any other comments about that? Because it's basically a roller coaster ride from the break into 3 to the end. You know?
Yeah, I just liked how the music even was like a heartbeat at times.
Yeah. And then the final image, which I thought was done well, almost a match of the first image. She's asleep in the chamber, and I wrote down another cat saved because she's got Newt, right? So
Sure.
movie opens, she has saved the cat. Movie closes, she's right back where she was, just having saved another,
Sure.
cat.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is she goes from being alone to with family now, right? She's got Hicks, she's got Newt.
Sure.
She's got other. She's no longer the sole survivor of these horrible aliens. She's now got other people that she can share this with.
And like for me, they could have ended the series there, and that would have been sweet. And I think that ending would have been even better
with the daughter stuff.
Had they done what we talked about earlier, just a scene or two of her either remembering her family,
Right.
and anyway. I think we both agree that it's there, maybe weak, or we want it to be there, but I think this would have been set up a little stronger if
Sure.
they had spent just a couple more minutes. Because if you're doing 2 hours and 20, do 225, right? Give me 5 more minutes of that scene. I was going to watch this movie twice till I saw that it was 2.5 hours. I'm like, I don't have that kind of time.
It goes by nice and fast.
It does. But I was taking notes as I went this time.
That's why I said theatrical release, not special directors extended, because I'm sure some of those holes probably would have been filled in with those.
You've never seen the special edition?
I have.
Oh, okay.
So
You just don't remember what all's in there.
I had plugged
Remember the
those
daughter
holes
stuff?
in.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to review kind of I don't want to say the generic version of the movie.
Yeah.
It's one everybody's most likely seen.
Sure.
Well, we talked about Avatar, right? The theatrical release. When Chris and I saw it, we were like, "There's the first chunk of this movie is missing. His ordinary world, his call." Well, if you watch the director's cut,
It's in there.
it's in there, and that's a good setup.
Yeah, you see Jake on Earth or planet or wherever he's at, going through mundane life in a wheelchair, because that's the whole thing is he's paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you see all that where it's.
In the
I think you and I
theatrical
talked about some producer must have been like, no, get him to Pandora quicker.
Yeah.
I think you lose a lot.
A lot of times those guys are probably like, we need this 2 hours, 204.
Well,
It's got to be.
And that's the real challenge is to get all your beats that you want in a 2 hour.
Well, here's
deal.
the thing: a producer or the studio is thinking, if this movie's an hour and a half, we can show it 6 times. If it's 2 hours, we can only show it 4 times in the theater in a given day. We get 2 more showings by cutting it down. We make more money.
Sure, but if you think of like that too much, then you cut your movie down, and then nobody goes to see the shit.
Burke in this movie must have worked in Hollywood as a producer, or he should. It'd be lots safer.
We're kind of past it now, but I just something I thought was interesting when when they find Newt and Hicks reaches for her. So Hicks played by Michael Biehn, right? He reaches for her, she bites him, and I don't know why it struck me as funny. So Michael Biehn got bit by Sarah Connor in Terminator.
Yeah.
So like just in both Cameron movies that he's in, separated by 2 years, he gets bit. So
Yeah.
Poor guy.
yeah. Mike, I got another movie for you, but you're gonna get bit. I mean, I guess better than get bit by an alien, but
True.
all right. I guess we're at the pass recommend.
Yeah. So any other mechanics? I think.
Can I do one more trivia?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because when I realized it was Paul Reiser with Bill Paxton in the same.
Oh yeah,
movie,
yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies is Twister,
Oh, yeah.
and Bill Paxton's wife was Helen Hunt, and then of course Helen Hunt played Paul Reiser's wife for years in Mad About You.
Mad About You, the TV show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these guys both had the same wife.
I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
The other one of my favorite characters of Aliens is the Sergeant Apone, the black, the cigar chomping, no nonsense.
yeah.
That's the first thing he does when he wakes up from hypersleep is puts a cigar in his mouth.
Sherry actually mentioned that. The first thing he does is put a cigar in his
Yeah,
mouth.
he was the first. I'm not even looking at the trivia. He was promoted to sergeant in the field in Vietnam. He was the first African American
In real life?
in real life.
Oh, wow.
He is a Marine
That's cool.
sergeant.
Damn.
So, when I was like, it's like Arlie Ermy. They're great actors. They're great characters. They're just
Character actors,
Marines.
yeah.
They're awesome. And he was one of the standout guys
Now,
to me.
promoted in the field in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like, did someone die? Okay, the sergeant is dead. Corporal, you're the new sergeant? Or was it meritorious? Like, did they actually have it?
I think it was meritorious, but
Yeah.
Vietnam. Think
Yeah,
about what you
yeah.
got to do to get promoted
Yeah.
in the field.
Jeez
Lord.
Louise.
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready for our final judgment? James, you picked it. I guess I think we all universally like this movie. If we're not, we're in the
Yeah.
minority. But yeah,
I definitely recommend it. It's fun. I think this movie, when I started it the other night, I thought that this movie, without seeing the first movie in a long time, I think Alien stood on its own. It was a good movie
Yeah.
all by itself. So I would say if you haven't seen any of the Alien movies franchises, this one's a good one to start out with. It'll
Right.
keep your attention. It's a scary movie. So yeah, definitely recommend it.
Yeah, same. I'm a recommend for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies, and Cameron was one of my favorite writers. I guess he still is, just not anything recent.
You could still like the stuff he's done, just not everything.
Yeah, I don't know, just falling from grace, in my opinion. But yeah,
Yep,
Aliens up there.
You'll
Go
keep-
Michael Bean.
That
Yeah.
opinion will keep James Cameron up at night.
sure.
It
Yeah.
better give him Ellen Ripley nightmares.
I'm gonna look on IMDb tomorrow, and all of those Avatar 4, 5, and 6 are gonna be gone.
Yeah.
We'll take them down because of that.
I don't know that we're going to have a universal or a unanimous opinion. Sherry, what were your? You want to write down the one? You want to read the one note you wrote down, or
I did write pass.
yeah?
However, Michael Bean, Bill
So
Paxton.
you recommend Michael Bean, but not the movie.
I recommend Michael Bean.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
So just watch it. Put the movie on mute.
Yeah. Can I get the Michael Bean cut? Just
You can probably find that on YouTube. Just Michael Bean cut.
yeah.
And Bill Paxton was
Sure,
worth
yeah.
watching it
Oh, yeah.
for. I
You know,
guess.
he's
And yes, if you want to see something scary that you're gonna sit on the edge of your seat,
yeah.
sure.
So I think it still works. Yeah. I mean,
Well, is
Yeah,
it a
it's-
pass
it's
or
a-
a consider?
I don't know. I really
Would you watch it again?
no.
but you said if someone wanted to watch a scary movie, you,
If they wanted to watch a scary movie and you like Sigourney Weaver and yeah.
all right. So she's on the fence, but whatever. I certainly give it a recommend, even with some of the weaker points. This is still a strong movie. I think it still works. Anyway, yeah. So I think I think it still holds up.
I think and like you had pointed out on the message thread, we just accidentally picked some movies with some badass female leads. And
Yes. Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver, 80. What was this? 85.
86.
86,
Ghostbusters. She was in that.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver is an attractive, badass woman.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Depending on, we record these in a certain order, but you may or may not listen to them in a certain order. But along with this, we are also reviewing A Long Kiss Goodnight, which has an equally tough female lead, Gina Davis or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think both of those work or whatever. All right.
Absolutely.
Are we good?
I think so.
All right. I think we're out on Aliens.
But Michael Bean was there to save you and protect you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think this table leg is superior to Jaws 4. So,
He stands alone on that.
sure. But
There's a monster. I'm ready for it to be over.
other worlds
That's a little twisted, Chris.
Yeah, okay.
survived a lot longer than 17 days. Why don't you put her in charge, man?
Right.
Okay? We're not going to count you into anything. Damn right.
Would you watch it again?
No.
Everybody else is gung ho. He thinks everything is bullshit.
Right.
Everything
Right.
is bullshit, man.